Hello and welcome to part 8 of my 12-part mini-series Superman in Media. On this episode we will be covering the long-running Superman TV show Smallville. Originally, Tonlin Robbins Productions wanted to do a series based around the exploits of a young Bruce Wayne, but the feature film department of Warner Brothers decided to greenlight an origin movie for Batman, which would eventually become Batman Begins, thus vetoing the concept of the show. In 2000, Tonlin Robbins Productions was approached by Peter Roth, the then president of WB Television, to produce a series about young Superman. Later that year, Alfred Goh and Miles Millar were hired by Roth to develop a pilot for the show. The two producers came up with the slogan, "No tights, no flights," meaning Clark would not fly or wear the Superman suit during the series. Both producers stripped Superman down to his bare essence, delving into the reason why Clark Kent became Superman. Pitching the show to both WB and Fox, a bidding war ensued, landing the show at WB for a 13-episode first season. Knowing that the show would undoubtedly be action-orientated, the producers along with Ross wanted to also capture the Middle America iconography seen within the then popular show Seventh Heaven. To create this atmosphere, they decided that the meteor shower that brings Clark to Earth would be the center point for the show, influencing everything from the meteor-infected villains to Lex Luthor's start down his dark path. Months were spent looking for a suitable actor to play the role of Clark Kent, with thousands of actors tested and looked at. Actor Tom Welling was finally cast in the role of Clark Kent, although David Nutter, the director of the pilot, had to convince his manager that the role would not hurt the actor's film career. Kristin Kreuk was the first to be cast in the role of Lana Lang after David Nutter saw her audition tape that she had personally sent him. Michael Rosenbaum auditioned twice for the role of Lex Luthor, feeling he didn't take his first audition seriously. His second audition went so well, the producers hired him on the spot. Finally, Allison Mack was cast as series-created character Chloe Sullivan, Clark's friend and editor of the school paper The Torch. Originally intending to audition for the role of Lana, Allison decided to audition for the role of Chloe, which was actually intended to have an ethnic background before she was cast. Addressing why Lex Luthor, who was much older than the other characters in the show, would socialize with teenagers, Millar and Goh created a loneliness within the character, and one that both Clark and Lana echoed. They also used this to draw parallels between the Kent and Luthor families, specifically the parentage of both families, which opted for slightly younger versions of Ma and Pa Kent and Lionel Luthor. This was so that they could be involved in Clark's life and help him along on his journey towards becoming Superman. Chloe Sullivan was considered an outsider, and instead of being used as a precursor to the Lois Lane character, she is used as someone who takes note of the strange happenings in and around Smallville. The series was produced by BB Studios in British Columbia, although Australia was initially planned for most of the production. Vancouver was chosen for its more quote-unquote Middle America landscapes. Vancouver doubled as Metropolis, the Kent Farm, and much of Smallville, including the Luthor Mansion. Since the show is told from the point of view of Clark Kent, the color scheme and camera selection illustrate how he interprets his environment. This can be seen in several episodes where he is at home and he is safe. The colors are warm and soft, with the camera movement being very gentle, while in danger, the colors become colder and the camera turns to handheld, allowing for more extreme angles. Metropolis is dominated by blues, purples, and chrome reflective surfaces to show a stark contrast between it and Smallville, which is mostly earth tones and softer, warmer colors. Mark Snow was brought in as Smallville's composer, composing music that reflected both the Superman side and the Clark Kent side, utilizing heroic themes and soft instrumental scores during Clark's scenes with Lana and family members. Snow even reworked music from previous Superman films into the show during Christopher Reeves' appearances during Season 2 and 3. Being a show featuring teenagers, many of the then current popular bands were used, with rock group Remy Zero providing the opening music for the show as well as appearing in the show. Smallville premiered at 9 p.m. on Tuesdays beginning in October of 2001. The next 5 seasons aired on the WB, and in 2006, the WB and UPN merged to form the CW, where the show stayed until its 10th and final season, finishing in 2010. Smallville set a WB record for its highest rated series debut, with 8.4 million people tuning in to the pilot, helping to reinvigorate the Tuesday night lineups. The late Christopher Reeve even expressed his opinion in this comment. I was a little bit skeptical when I heard about Smallville at first, but I must say the writing, the acting, and the special effects are quite remarkable. In 1977, a big stunt would have taken a week to film. It's pretty impressive what they are able to do with computer and effects technology today on a weekly TV show. It gives it a lot more production value and inventiveness than I thought I was going to see when I first heard about the series. I think the show is doing a really good job following the mythology, and Tom is doing a really good job following the tradition. In the midst of producing Smallville, Goer and Millar developed an Aquaman pilot with Justin Hartley, who would later become Smallville's Oliver Queen and Green Arrow. Although not technically a spin-off from Smallville, Alfred Goer did consider it to have a crossover with Smallville at some point. The WB and UPN merge caused the pilot to be passed on. During the 6th season, a Green Arrow spin-off was talked about, but Justin Hartley refused, saying he felt it his duty to respect what show had accomplished in 5 seasons and not to steal the spotlight from it. Eventually, a Green Arrow show would be developed into Arrow with Stephen Amell. Smallville ended on its 10th season in 2010, and 2 years later, Smallville Season 11 was released as a digital comic written by executive story editor Brian Q. Miller. Taking place 6 months after Darkseid's attack on Earth, Clark has become Superman and goes on adventures featuring Batman, the Titans, and the Legion of superheroes. Current shows like Supergirl, The Flash, Arrow, and Legends of Tomorrow have sprung up to a myriad of success, all stemming from the success Smallville saw in its 10-year run on the air. And now comes the discussion part of the video, and joining me again is Tom from Comic Book Cast. Say hello, Tom.
Hey. So I watched 10 seasons of Smallville for this.
We both did. We both did.
Yeah. We literally were going through it at the same time, and it was quite funny. Like, sometimes you'd be ahead, and then I'd have like a crazy night where I just watched like 15 episodes. Like, one day I finished like almost a whole season.
I'd get on Facebook and like, hey, I just finished season 6 and I'm still on like season 4 or something.
But then you beat me, and then like right back towards the end, I think you were busy or something for a little while, and while you were gone, I just like cleared season 10 and
if you've skipped through the rest of the start of the video and you're just joining us now, we're talking about Smallville for my Superman in Media project, and in case you are blind and just clicked on a video and randomly and made your way into this part of the video, we're talking about Smallville.
You could have YouTube app on shuffle or something. And recommended.
Yeah, skips like 20 minutes into the video.
The first video.
So Smallville obviously, both me and Tom really like as Superman fans, and it was a pretty impressive TV show for what it was. Go ahead and say.
Right, I mean, Smallville, probably that and the Superboy series, which is ironic because they're both about young Clark Kent. Both those shows hold probably the closest place in my heart. Like, because Smallville, like, the Superboy series is the one I sort of saw as a little kid. And then I did see Lois and Clark, and I enjoyed that one as well immensely. But then Smallville came along in my teen years, and I think Buffy was just finishing up at the time.
Yeah.
And loved Buffy, and Smallville reminded me of the early seasons of Buffy with the high school, and especially once all the bands started playing at the Talon, like that was basically the bronze substitute, and like it very much held to the Buffy formula for a while in those early seasons, and it hit me the exact right time of my life, and it was it's so amazingly true to the Superman lore in the comics. It respects a hell of a lot of what's come before.
It does. It respects a lot, and it also gives us some like insights into stuff we probably might not have known from comics, because filled in like little gaps and everything.
Yeah, and it's amazing. It changed plenty because it's got to, but it gave us so many little things from the past. I really appreciated like when they had the Legion episode, the first Legion episode, and the fact that the Legion kept coming back, and like the Legion ring was a recurring thing. Like having read the Superboy comics growing up and seeing the Legion pop in and out, like they were a pretty big part of the Superboy run back when like Silver Age, Bronze Age, and Modern Age, like right before they got rid of it. Actually, I think they got rid of Superboy right as the Modern Age started, but it was great to see the Legion be a significant thing and not just a throwaway episode, which I was scared they were going to do with the Wonder Twins early on.
Yeah, I remember the Wonder Twins.
There were two versions of the Wonder Twins in this show. The first ones I was so glad did not turn out to be the final Wonder Twins.
Yeah.
Even though I think at the time that was the plan.
Yeah, do you reckon? Because for people who don't know, like the ones we're talking about, they're in like some season 2 episode, I think, where
early 3, but it felt like a season 2.
Yeah, well, like a bunch of like robbers or there were criminals that escaped from Belle Reve take the Kents hostage, and there's these two bald guys who can create like shields when they do like the Wonder Twins fist bump sort of thing. Yeah,
which to me says they were trying to rework the Wonder Twins. Maybe they didn't know how they were going to make them passable in the context of the show, because at the time they were still, I mean, obviously there were superpowers and stuff like that, but it was still trying to keep grounded, which later they abandoned, and thankfully they did, because in my opinion that's when the show really took off.
Yeah, I think it was also grounded, but also like budgetary reasons, so they couldn't hop straight into like having Green Arrow show up.
The Wonder Twin powers aren't the most expensive anyway, and how much did they do on the makeup effects for those two like crazy guys? Like, didn't they have like weird veins and like weird skin and shit?
Yeah, they were just twins basically.
They put some strange makeup on, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I remember them looking oily and weird.
Yeah. But yeah, the show's really great, and you know, as we were saying, it adds quite a bit of lore to the Superman mythos. Like we get. I think this is the first time we see like Clark and Lex sort of growing up together. I'm fairly certain.
Yeah, I mean that's something we'd seen in the Superboy comics. It wasn't a new concept of young Lex growing up in Smallville, but they dimensionalized it, especially with the addition of Lionel, and like especially with like the Julian stuff was great. And I didn't realize that I'd actually forgotten, because it had been so many years since I watched the show, but I'd forgotten that I knew that Tess was revealed to be Lex's sister, but I forgot that they actually did name her Lena Luthor in it. Like,
it happened like in the last 2 episodes, and
it was only said Lena as well, like on a picture of her birth certificate. It wasn't actually spoken out loud, as far as I can remember.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird as well, especially now that she's in like Supergirl and everything. That they kind of sort of brought that back as well, but the characters
Even the Superboy show had Lena Luthor. The only one that didn't is Lois and Clark.
Yeah, that's true. But like the characters they involved in this, they dug deep into both the Superman mythos and the DC mythos as well with characters, because there was like a bunch of characters there that are like really obscure. Like there was this one in. What episode was it? I'm blanking on which episode it was. But it's a version.
Do you remember the storyline, like, roughly? I might remember.
I'm like burnt out because of all the episodes I had to watch. They all sort of kind of blur together into one big story. God damn, I can't remember it.
What character was it?
It was an old Superman character that hadn't been seen for a while up until that point, and it was like a really shitty version. It was like the CW version, you know, it's just a guy with guns or something. Oh god, what was his name? Oh, I'm blanking on his name. I'll remember him. But like the villains that like the
I
even.
remember hating Mr. Mixus Pidlick.
Yeah, I hated that one as well. He's just like some sports
he's
guy.
A bookie.
Yeah, bookie.
Games at high schools.
Yeah, he's a foreign exchange student.
Yeah, what a step down from like a godlike imp from the fifth dimension or whatever, and it's like suddenly he's just a high school bookie who can whisper and make high school like football players fall over, and that's his whole power. That's what he chooses to do with it.
I do say they did get better with the villains as the show progressed. Like they
that was a weak one, but that came in later than I thought. That was like season 3, so it surprised me that at that point they were still making these sort of season 1 mistakes.
Well, like the show never really changed until it came onto the CW, which was like around season 4, season 5, and then it started sort of like Clark would go to Metropolis more and spend more time in Metropolis doing stuff.
Once he finished high school and it was the college years when Brainiac came in, I think that's when the villains really, like the overarching villain really became interesting, because like James Masters is Brainiac again, another Buffy connection. But
yeah, he was a great Brainiac as well. It was also really surprising, like because I remember watching it, well, like as it aired originally, and I was still reading through all the different Superman books and everything because it was in my early teens, and then seeing him appear as Brainiac, that was quite a big shock to me because I didn't think they'd do it on TV.
Yeah, it was amazing to see Brainiac. Like, I mean, obviously being in the animated things, but he'd never appeared in Lois and Clark. He'd never obviously appeared in Superboy. He wasn't allowed to, but that's kind of was he the first live action Brainiac then? Yeah. He
hasn't been in. Like I know they were planning on making that thing that's at the end of Superman 3 Brainiac, but that never planned out. But I'm pretty sure he is, and he's the only one so far.
Shit, and he's amazing as well. Like I can't imagine a better Brainiac at this point.
Yeah, they perfect casting.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that movie. Wally Pfister's Transcendence, where it's like Johnny Depp turns into Brainiac. Maybe Johnny Depp should be Brainiac. That'd be interesting.
That was a terrible movie.
It was unwatchable.
But yeah, the villains that they had in the show, like especially when it got to like season 6 and onwards, were just like classic Superman villains. We had Toyman.
Toyman's great in this show.
Yeah, Toyman actually appeared a number of times, and he was more of a villain for Green Arrow than he was for Superman.
Yeah, he worked for like Queen Industries, but he obviously does turn his sights on the Blur eventually. But
and he sets up the Legion of Doom as well.
Oh right, it was him.
Yeah, that Legion of Doom.
That was a nice episode as well. That was a cool touch.
It was a nice episode, but it was something that never paid off because if people haven't seen it, we get this one shot of the Legion of Doom, and they're all sitting around this table, and there's this like terrible Solomon Grundy costume, a guy who's literally Captain Cold from the comics with the hood and those glasses, and who else was that? Black Manta was there. They had all these really cool villains, but I just remember the Solomon Grundy looking absolutely ridiculous.
I even blanked on it being Solomon Grundy.
It was a big grey guy with like a weird bowl cut, and it's like, that's I guess Solomon Grundy.
Have to be. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch that bit. I've completely blanked on that moment. Maybe
it was like a 2-second shot, but yeah.
I'll have to go back. No, that was great. Stuff like that they kept bringing back was always a joy to see.
Yeah, and I guess like this show also included like the definitive of certain characters. So like so far it's kind of the definitive Lex Luthor.
Oh,
like, it's absolutely perfect.
My favourite Lex. Sherman Howard being close second. I just, for very different reasons, very different performances, but that's how favourites work. But Lex was great. If Jesse Eisenberg had looked a little bit at what Michael Rosenbaum had done with the character, maybe he could have played it a little bit. Like he was trying to think, how does a young Lex Luthor act? And
I think he was trying to do like, how do I make a modern Lex Luthor? And a modern Lex Luthor would be sort of like a tech billionaire, but that's sort of like what Smallville's was. He was like this company guy and
Lex
everything.
Isn't a tech billionaire necessarily like a Facebook Zuckerberg type thing. He's more of a corporate tycoon tech genius.
Yeah.
Always got the idea that LexCorp didn't always necessarily, their main purpose wasn't doing all this science stuff. That was just his obsession.
To try and become the Superman or something.
Yeah, he would sell the patents to help fund it, but I always figured it was mostly a mask so he could create weapons to kill Superman.
Yeah, but he was absolutely perfect in the role, and
Lionel was interested in making like kryptonite infected like crop dust so that he could make crops grow faster. Like that doesn't actually sound too evil to me. Like just the fact that it's kryptonite is the only reason it's dark. Like that was quite a cool idea. If there's a chance you could solve world hunger with meteor rocks, go for it.
Yeah, that's like something he was doing. He was just trying to do that to like get rich and everything, and like it'd make
it also would have solved world hunger.
Well, that's the thing. It would have made crops grow really big, but then it would have given everyone who ate it like cancer, like alien cancer or something.
He didn't know that when he started the project. Thank you. I always thought that was interesting that he was sort of demonized in that episode, like from the perspective of everyone. But technically, all he was doing was trying to make crops grow.
Yeah.
He was experimenting with a new type of fertilizer. That's not really against the law, you know. Lionel got a bad rap in a lot of it. He was a complete cunt, but
and he got worse when like they killed him off and then brought him back as the Earth 2 Lionel.
Earth 2 Lionel was amazing, though.
And this is years before the Flash invented like the multiverse and everything that we see on TV nowadays.
Superboy did the multiverse.
Yeah, it did that Commander Superman or what General Superman or whatever.
The Sovereign.
Yeah, the Sovereign.
They went like Superboy's show went to like 5 different Earths. Like they've beaten the Flash still.
Yeah.
Technically.
Yeah, but those two characters are great. I know we both love the Mara and Pa Kent in this. Like John Snyder's Jonathan Kent.
I always feel bad saying that Stacey Haydock is my favourite Lana. Because an Adderall was so amazing in Superman 3 as Lana Lang, but she takes my favourite Martha Kent, so I think it works out.
Yeah, they're the best that they've been in a long time. They obviously updated them so like they could get involved in like what Clark was doing as a teenager, so they're not like 7 years old when they find him and everything, and not so much. Yeah,
I remember when watching the show that I was on a lot of the fan sites, and one of the big questions that kept coming up in forums and stuff was, when is Jonathan Kent going to die? And they were asking every single season since like season 2. And when it happened, I still wasn't ready.
I know, and they did it so well. It's that like ones that have done it since then, Man of Steel, look like utter shit compared to like what a TV show in like 2003 did.
His heart attack was a result of finding out that Lionel knows Clark's secret, and he loses his temper, tries to beat the shit out of Lionel, and he knows that his heart is weak at this point. And it's his own anger that does it, and it's something that keeps coming back as well. Like Clark blames himself, but Jonathan later thankfully comes back in early season 10 as like a ghost or something and tells him like the truth about what happened.
Yeah.
It's weird. He was killed off in one season, but then John Schneider was still in like 3 or 4 episodes going forward in that season, because he shot like an episode where Jonathan Kent comes back as a ghost, and an episode where Clark dies and goes to the afterlife, and he meets Jonathan Kent. And it's like, it was amazing what a fake out that death was, but it was still really beautiful.
Yeah, it was very, very impactful as well. And again, like, because of how they did it and how it was all built up and everything, it lended more to like Clark growing as into Superman, basically. And then it pays off even more in like the end of season 10 when Jonathan Kent is the one to give him the Superman costume from the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah, and it's interesting as well because the episode that we're going to be doing a commentary on as part of the collab, which we're watching next, I believe ends with Clark going to Jonathan Kent's grave and basically saying, I've got to let you go, I've got to try and move on and all of this, which it turns out actually going forward in the season is actually what's holding him back. He should be letting it in, and it's amazing that when I was watching the episode at the time, I didn't think Clark was making the wrong decision.
No.
But when you get to the end and you realise actually, no, he needs to hold on to Smallville. Like that was amazing, because it was kind of a revelation even to me as an audience member. I don't know how you felt about that.
Exactly the same. It was great the way they portrayed all these characters and how they sort of connected all this stuff up.
I don't know. John Schneider was great as Jonathan Kent. Is probably the definitive one. It's amazing actually. I was just reading a Superboy issue yesterday, an old Bronze Age one, and in that issue, Jonathan, another member of someone else in Smallville says to him, like, Jonathan, have you ever thought about running for mayor or senate or whatever like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Basically trying to pressure him into it, and it was like the exact same parallel. Like, this guy's gonna it's gonna mess up the town. All the local businesses are gonna be ruined, and all of this. Like, you need to run, Jonathan. And it's like, yeah, he wasn't running against Lex Luthor, but
it was. I know what you mean. Yeah. So yeah, maybe they even drew like that's where they got the idea for it.
It's a pretty obscure random issue.
Maybe you never know.
It depends. I haven't read the issue following on, but this issue is maybe like a year before Superboy was cancelled anyway, and like he was eradicated from the canon with Man of Steel anyway.
Okay.
Maybe they read it, maybe they didn't. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely possible.
It was just pretty cool. I keep seeing, like, every now and then, like in an issue of Superboy or Superman, like I'll see like the panel description refer to him as a red blue blur, and I'm like, holy shit! I think I sent you a couple of screen caps when I kept spotting.
Yeah. That's like another thing in the show. Like they promised to never call him Superman because it was never a show about Superman. It was about Clark on his journey towards becoming.
Yeah, and Welling was not going to let them call him Superboy either. So
yeah. And I'm kind of glad they didn't either, because it'd be kind of cheesy. Because he wasn't a boy; he was like a 25-year-old.
Yeah. See, if they did a Superboy show and it was genuinely Clark freshman year of high school, and they got a freshman age actor to play him, and it was actually like a 12-year-old or something starting out, that would be interesting. Or would be a fun way to do Superboy, but. Yeah, you can't cast an almost 30-year-old as a teenager and get away with that. Although they did with the Superboy show, but you can forgive it because it's the late 80s, early 90s, and it was super cheesy. Yeah. That's kind of the appeal.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like...
Christopher was the oldest actor to play Superman when he got cast. It was amazing.
How old was he? Like 38?
He was like 32 or something, but he was like older than Reed would be, and older than Dean Cain.
I'm 16.
He was literally playing, like, I think he got his 18-year-old... I think it was his 18th birthday or something, or his 20th birthday in the final episode. And, yeah, it was kind of funny. Well, even at 20, he's not really Superboy, but maybe it's a good thing it ended when he did.
Oh, that's great. And, of course,
wrong show again. I did this on Lois and Clark too.
That's all right. It's still Superman. You're still talking about it on the Superman show. So yeah, obviously, like, as the seasons progressed, like, his cast got bigger, and it included like other heroes. So like, obviously, Green Arrow was a big part of this show, mainly because they couldn't get the rights to Batman at the time.
Yeah, which is weird because Justin Hartley looks so much like a young Ben Affleck. It's not even funny.
He does. Like, looking back on it, you're like, he's kind of like a young Bruce Wayne.
Cast like I know Casey Affleck always gets cast as Ben Affleck's brother in movies, even, but because like whenever he needs a brother in a film, he seems to just get Casey to do it. But it would be pretty weird seeing them standing next to each other. Actually, like he looks like Daredevil era.
Well, like, I just, like, yesterday saw a picture of Justin Hartley on Twitter, since I follow him on Twitter, and he actually has, like, that Ben Affleck beard as well, now.
But it's weird when he doesn't have the beard. He's even got, like, the dimple chin. Like, it's weird. He's got, it's very strange likeness, but he was great. And I kept thinking when I was watching the episodes that he was playing, like, when he was trying to go a bit darker with it, I kept thinking, like, he reminds me so much of Affleck as Batman right now.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, even like the darker episodes of, like, whether it be like a Clark episode or like a Green Arrow episode, they'd still find the fun there. There'd be a balance. They wouldn't go like full dark or anything.
You always had heart. That's one thing you need to keep in Superman properties. Like, it needs to have heart.
Yeah. But yeah, his Green Arrow was great. I really like his introduction. Whereas I watched the episode and then sort of compared it to Arrow's first episode. Arrow's first episode, the first time you ever see the Archer or the Hooded Archer, or whatever the fuck they call him, he kills a bunch of people, and the first thing Smallville's Green Arrow does is a trick shot to impress Lois Lane. Like that's the big difference between the two.
Yeah, like one's got the personality from the comics and is a bit of a playboy. Like that's something that always intrigued me a little bit about Green Arrow in the comics. Like he actually has fun. Like his millionaire persona isn't 100% a mask like it is with Bruce Wayne. Like he's not that guy, but at the same time he still likes a drink. He likes a laugh and a joke. Like which is weird because his parents died too. But
yeah, well, he's always looking on the bright side. And the cool thing. The cool thing about this Oliver Queen as well, they kept his liberal political views as well, instead of like in Arrow they haven't, but in Smallville they did, which is a big part of his thing in the comics. Like he's a big hero of the people type of person, and that's what he is in the show as well. He's
kind of going for that in Arrow, isn't he, at the moment? Especially with the mayor stuff, he's becoming more and more liberal.
Well, like whenever he's the mayor and that, like the episodes I've seen, he's like, "I'm the mayor. I'm gonna catch them vigilantes." He doesn't really give a fuck.
I think that's more that the writers don't give a fuck about the mayor storyline, but need something for his alter ego to do because he's got no money anymore, so he needs to get an income somehow.
Like, getting that mayor money.
I forgot actually that he lost all of his money like 2 seasons ago because he suddenly still has shit tons of money and resources and stuff. Like I don't think he ever actually paid off where he got his money back. Maybe Felicity is secretly stealing money from the company.
Yeah, probably embezzlement.
The only explanation is she's committing fraud. She's embezzling.
But this show also featured, I think, the first TV incarnation of the Justice League as well.
Technically. Although they didn't call themselves the Justice League.
Near the end of the show, their screens in Watchtower, they did have a Watchtower that started saying like JLA and everything on it.
I mean, one thing that annoyed me was in the first episode with Bart Allen.
Yeah.
They clearly were setting him up as the Flash because he makes Flash puns like every 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Like he keeps saying, "I'll be back in a Flash. See you in a Flash. I'll be back in a Flash." Like it was constant. And also he used like the names on his IDs, Jay Garrick and Barry Allen at one point or something.
Yeah.
Like that was it really did look like they were setting him up as the Flash early on, and then later on when he comes back as Impulse, I wonder what the decision there was. I wonder if they knew they were going to do JSA, and so they needed Jay Garrick to be a real guy, and so they couldn't have him, or maybe they couldn't use the Flash name. Maybe CW was working with ideas of using him.
Well, maybe around that time. Yeah, maybe around that time that David Goyer movie of the Flash was in development or something.
Oh, was it?
I don't know, because I know for like a long time there was a David Goyer Flash script like floating around and nothing ever happened with it.
You know, that's got to be it.
It has to be because like movies, they seem to take like Batman. Obviously, Batman was meant to be in the show, but they vetoed that because of Dark Knight and Batman Begins and all that.
I'm still just so grateful that Warner Brothers didn't insist the show got cancelled so Superman Returns could come out.
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
They known to do that before.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why Superboy got. Like, the only reason Superboy got cancelled was because they wanted to make Lois and Clark. Like, they just cancelled one show because they figured they couldn't have two.
Yeah.
It's kind of fine, I guess, but,
Well, I guess they thought, one's about Clark Kent and the other one is actual Superman movie that's kind of a sequel to these movies we made 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So there's some difference there.
I would have stuck with the Legacy one for a while. Like.
Yeah.
Or just rework the pilot script so Jerry Christopher can reprise as well. And I'm still off topic. Dean Cain's great in this, wasn't he? As not Vandal Savage.
Oh yeah, Curtis Knox, who's obviously Vandal Savage, but not.
Vandal Savage. Yeah, even the writers and stuff and the producers have said no, he was Vandal Savage.
I think that might have been the character. I think that might have been the character I was thinking of earlier, because I remember him being like thrown around by Clark. That's all I seem to remember. I kind of blanked on him because he was just like generic immortal.
He used guns as Vandal Savage, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was curing crypto freaks of their powers, but actually killing them or something, I think.
Yeah, wasn't he also like half Mr. Freeze as well? Because he had his like dead wife or something there or something.
That was it. Yeah, he had his dead wife, and he was curing crypto freaks of their powers, but he was actually taking the powers and putting them into his dead wife, hoping one of the powers would cure her or heal her.
Yeah, and he took Chloe because Chloe had that power to help people.
To be honest, though, in Smallville, if you want to cure your dying wife, like just surround her with meteor rocks and like blow up the building, and she'll get like explodo powers.
Yeah, just like sprinkle some like kryptonite dust on her, and she'll come back as something.
Meteor rocks, and then kill her, and she will wake up around 24 hours later with tons of superpowers.
Yeah, every superpower. She'll be basically Superwoman.
If you die near a meteor rock, you get powers.
It did. It was like that for like the first 4 or 5 seasons, and
I just thought the show. I'd love to grow up in Smallville. Like, I wonder how, like, once you work out that pattern, it's like so easy to get powers. I'm just walking around with one in my pocket just in case.
But like also like the powers go off like what you are. So there's like we're going to be doing obviously the Homecoming episode in your Tom Talks, and that includes that Bug Boy, who becomes a Bug Boy because he's a bug collector.
Was he called the Bug Boy like in anything other than what the fans call him?
I don't think so. I don't think he actually had a name. He was just some weirdo who like killed his mum or something.
He was obsessed with Lana.
Yeah.
It's weird because I said that he looked about 30 in the episode where he was playing a high schooler. But
he did. He did.
In this Homecoming episode, he looks about 45. Like
he got kept back, okay? He got kept back.
It's like just the wardrobe they put him in and the way they had him play it. Like he had glasses and stuff again. It was just like he looked a lot older than the actor actually is. It was strange.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
A strange moment in a great episode.
yeah, that episode was actually pretty cool. But the show was pretty good. It did get a little bit bad around what was the season? Because I remember you and I were talking about it. We were like waiting for that season where Lana becomes a witch, and it was a lot later than we thought.
Was that season 4 or 5?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like we were like, "Where's this Lana stuff? Where's this Veritas secret cult?"
I always thought it was season 4, so it must be season 5.
Yeah, well, like the Veritas stuff with like the secret cult of like rich people's parents and stuff. That was like season 6, and I remember
that was like season 7. That was like Lexi's last series.
Yeah, but like I remember it being like season 4 or something. It's so weird.
It's because they trick you into showing the window behind Lexi's desk has the Veritas logo, which I haven't confirmed this, but I'm pretty sure if you went back through the seasons, that logo wasn't there before that episode or that season.
Well, that can easily be explained by like Lex's mansion getting blown up every other episode or something.
Yeah, but it's always funny, like the amount of times that like sort of that room has been blown up in the show.
Yeah,
there's still stuff hidden in there, like in the fireplace is like a Kryptonian artifact that somehow has never been uncovered. Yeah, that fireplace is like blown up like 3-4 times.
Yeah, and there's that secret room that Lana finds that's got all his artifacts in it. It's covered in kryptonite and just all this random stuff. But yeah, the Lana witch stuff.
The Lex mansion could just have rooms appear out of nowhere. Like it was so huge, it didn't matter what. Like
it was so huge, it doubled as the X Mansion in the X-Men films.
Like you see those things where people draw up like map/blueprint type things showing what the sets of like Friends, different sitcoms and stuff like that look like, what the sets look like. You see it for Firefly with the ship Serenity because it's so well mapped out. You actually can do a cohesive map of it.
Yeah.
You couldn't do that with the Lex.
It'd have all these like black spots, like mystery room. Where does this staircase go? Well,
I'm
where
not
does this go?
100% of the layout of like even the Kent house, to be honest. Like the Kent house shifted a little bit throughout the show. I'm pretty sure.
Well, it got destroyed. Remember that like meteor hit it, and they had to rebuild it from scratch.
Maybe that's when it happened, but I'm sure it even happened before that. Like suddenly there was like an episode where the room or the corridor didn't quite make sense as it had in previous episodes. There was like a wall that I wasn't sure had been there before, but I could be just completely wrong.
Yeah.
I had a funny feeling watching in one episode, like, where exactly in the house are they right now? They just
but
to throw up a wall.
But yeah, the Lana Witch stuff was probably some of the worst TV and worst for like Smallville episodes. It was like a whole season.
That whole season with the Teague family, like, just remove the whole Teague family, like the guy from Supernatural. Like, he's a fun actor, but it was just a useless plot.
It was.
And
It was
I remember
terrible.
it all started because Lana decided to piss off to Paris for no reason.
Yeah, and she studied art or something. Oh, it's so weird.
Yeah, even though she'd shown no interest in this subject or mentioned anything about this previously. Like, she'd mentioned horses more than she'd mentioned art or Paris. But suddenly she's gone to Paris. She's doing a charcoal sketching of of like an old church floor or something, and wakes up with a tattoo, and that freaks her out so much. Like, oh, I've got this tattoo that I've woken up with. I better go back to Smallville. Clark can help me. So, if I'd woken up with a random tattoo, I just assumed that I had a really good night, or a really bad night. But either way, I would have assumed drinking was involved.
But yeah, that's probably like the worst the show got. I know season 8 was kind of bordering on it with the Doomsday stuff.
I liked the Doomsday stuff more than I remembered. Season 8 can be forgiven a little bit because of the writers' strike. Like, all the writers obviously had, like they said, that you've been working on the show for so long, they basically had the whole season written already. Mm-hmm. But they did also say in an interview, like, that meant while the writer's strike was continuing, they couldn't do any rewrites, any modifications to the script. Like, literally, they just had to go from first drafts, which is amazing that the show was as good as it was, considering every episode was taken from a first draft of the script.
Yeah, like, I know when I was watching it, I was like, it's not as bad as I thought, but the thing I don't like is that, like, the convenience of like Davis Bloom and Doomsday's character, like, he came in the same meteor that Clark came in, and he was like all that sort of stuff, like it was just off panel, sort of thing.
Yeah, they've done stuff like that in comics for years, but I hate it anyway. It's like the secret origin trope where it's like, oh, I bet you didn't know that when the Waynes were being murdered, the Kents were just coming out of the movie theatre. It's like they were in the theatre at the same time as the Waynes, and it's like, yeah, stuff like that happens in comics all the time. It's kind of hard to take seriously these days, but
yeah, and
it was a fun idea. I'm sure if the writer's strike had gone on, like, that was probably just like a placeholder idea they wrote in the script, just as a placeholder. And then the writer's strike happened, and they're like, shit, we can't actually change that. We can't do a rewrite. Like, they would have been locked in. The moment that was written down, they were locked in.
Didn't they also make Davis Bloom and Doomsday the son of Zod as well? Yeah. God damn it. Yeah, God damn it.
He was the son of Zod mixed with technology that would make it so every time he died, he would come back stronger and immune to the thing that killed him.
Yeah. So like Doomsday, pretty much.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it was the way that it was explained was really bizarre. The kryptonite shower was very strange.
Yeah, that was really weird, and like the fight was
die from kryptonite. Maybe that's not the way to do it though. Maybe cut his head off with a kryptonite knife.
Yeah, and
like probably kill him better.
Yeah, removing the head and then like throwing it into the sun or something.
Yeah, there were some really cool moments though. Chloe's nightmare where she's in the basement of the Talon, and she finds Clark dead hanging from the ceiling, like his head, like just his torso though, like his legs and everything's just been ripped away, and it's just guts hanging down. He's dripping blood, and he's just like blank stare on his face, like he's dead. Like this, even Superman couldn't come back from that, even with the Kryptonian like regeneration matrix or whatever.
Yeah. That stuff that was pretty gory for TV as well.
Yeah, it was. I put a picture of that up on Twitter, and people who hadn't seen the show were like, I had no idea Smallville got this dark.
Yeah, it got pretty dark, but like as we said before, it still kept its heart.
Yeah, that sequence though, it's still, that shot is amazing. I thought even watching that, even in the Death of Superman comics, the way that they brought him back, I don't know he would have come back from that.
No, I don't think so.
Even rip Superman in half.
Yeah. Well, that's like Zack Snyder's Superman, Doomsday. Although in saying that, it wasn't Zack Snyder's Doomsday because he didn't do that to Superman.
But maybe he wasn't allowed. They said that was too far.
Yeah, that's the reason why Jeff Johns came in. He's like, okay, that's enough.
He's like, well, Smallville did it. He's like, Smallville was a better show. Smallville earned the right to do that. You haven't. It took 8 years to earn the right to do Doomsday and show that stuff. Like, you've done it in the second movie. Go fuck yourself.
But I know after Doomsday we had some of the best villains ever. We had Callum Blue's Major Zod.
Major Zod, and he was General Zod later. He was fantastic, but it was great as well seeing when they did the episode they had to go into the Phantom Zone again, and Ollie and Clark had to fight, and General Zod's Phantom merged with Major Zod's body, and so he was technically both. Like, he had both sets of memories. He was just like an Uber Zod, which I thought was cool concept. And he had the beard as well. Yeah,
he started like growing a little beard and everything, and that was a really cool episode. But yeah, he was a really great character. The way they did him was so good. Where he wasn't the original General Zod, he was a clone.
Yeah.
Because of Jor-El.
Like, the bottle of Candor wasn't literally a city in a bottle. It was like a cloning. It was like a bunch of DNA that they could clone all the Kryptonians from, so they could technically live again.
Yeah, and that also brought back Jor-El, played by Julian Sands, not Terrence Stamp. And I like that episode that he appeared in, where Clark and him never run into each other until he's about to die, which I thought was great.
Yeah, and he does make a cameo back later on with Helen Slater as his mother as well, as Laura.
Yeah.
And that was pretty nice. It was just, I think it was just in the fortress, and it was like a vision or something that Jor-El was showing him, but it was great as well seeing Helen Slater as Clark's mum. Like, she's obviously in Supergirl again now, but she had a pretty great role in Smallville too.
Yeah, she's in Supergirl as Supergirl's human mum.
Yeah,
which is great.
It would be interesting if they made her the Kryptonian mum, but then you wouldn't have really. She would have had to play the bad guy in season 1.
Yeah, that's true.
Although that could be fun, seeing her fly around again.
Yeah, in a movie that's not shit.
Well, I still like Supergirl.
It's just so stupid.
Shit, but it's fun.
Yeah, that's true.
Plus, it's got Peter Cook in it, and he's just a legend. He was drunk the entire time on that movie. The legend is first thing he did when he came back to England after shooting Supergirl was go to Alcoholics Anonymous. Because he literally it's a funny story. My granddad actually used to go to Alcoholics Anonymous and met Peter Cook there right after Supergirl, and I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast before, but he was just saying he went off, he shot Supergirl, which he really didn't like, and had a lot to drink there, and then he got home and found that his house had been burgled.
Oh no.
So first thing he did was just drink bottles of, I don't know, scotch or whatever, and he just immediately had to go to Alcoholics Anonymous and find the thing.
Oh, that's great.
So Supergirl just destroyed the man.
Oh, that's great.
Absolute comedy legend. If you don't know who Peter Cook is, guys, look him up.
Yeah, he's pretty great.
Absolute legend.
I think that's it. Oh, I suppose the season 10 villain was kind of Darkseid. Kinda. I guess.
I hesitate even to say Darkseid, isn't it?
Well, it was more his generals.
It was like a CG thing every now and then it was he was inside Lionel.
Yeah, he tore Lionel's heart out and gave it to Lex, and
which was cool. That was a fun way to finally save the Lex clone.
Yeah,
I liked the idea. Lex, there was none of the clones were perfect, but the pieces were, so they stitched a new one together, which I thought was a very Frankenstein concept.
Yeah, I thought that was cool, and out of that as well, we got Superboy.
Yeah, we got Connor. That was great. I wish he'd come back. To be honest, I wish he'd come back one more time, like in the suit, like in the costume or something. But
I was surprised he didn't appear in like the finale or something, like doing some like helping Oliver or something.
Yeah, or I don't know, like the finale they had the wedding. Martha Kent was there. Wasn't Martha Kent looking after Connor?
Yeah, or like Connor had been like told to go to Smallville High or something. It was really ambiguous what they did with him.
Yeah, I thought maybe Connor should have been at the wedding.
Yeah, he should have been.
Interesting. It would have been really interesting as well. Like, they never did it for Jonathan Kent's funeral, but they had the episode with the Dukes of Hazzard dying that was in it.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
And it was like the two Dukes of Hazzard. They even did like some sequences where they drove a car around super fast and did like, yeah, that was fun. But the guy never appeared at his funeral despite supposedly being Jonathan's lifelong best friend.
Well, you see, he couldn't appear because he was busy with like. It wasn't like the episode he's in, like he got in trouble because he had like prostitutes or something.
Yeah, he was like the mayor of the town and he was seeing hookers, but
yeah,
that doesn't mean you can't go to a funeral. Like,
well, he relapsed. He relapsed and like went on a bender and ended up in like Gotham and got like stabbed or something.
Got home, found his house robbed. He was already alcoholic. No. It's I don't know. This is one of my favourite shows ever, and I'm struggling to remember specific things. And there's so much I love about it that I wanted to bring up, but
it is hard. It is hard because it is like a 10-year show. Like it ran for 10 seasons, so it is hard to remember certain things and everything. But
I still don't like the red leather jacket.
Oh yeah,
I always thought it looked like shit.
So, like, for people who have never seen the show, in the later seasons, mainly seasons 9 and 10, Clark started wearing costumes.
It was just season 10. Oh, no,
was it?
Sorry. It was season 9 and 10 with the black suit, sorry.
Yeah, so after defeating Doomsday, he wore the black suit like he did in the comics, except, of course, this was like the CW black suit, so it was the t-shirt and a long trench coat like all the Kryptonians wear. It looked really good, but sometimes the S didn't look right, like it looked kind of wonky.
Yeah,
sometimes
made it brighter towards the end of the season.
Yeah, because it just looked like it was bleached on.
Yeah, it was kind of weird looking, but it worked. It worked fine, I suppose. But I like that suit more than the red leather jacket combo.
The red leather jacket was so weird. He never wore it done up. It was always loose.
Yeah, well, he used to do it up, but then he used to undo it every time he'd actually do it anywhere, which...
Yeah, well, there was, like, the Booster Gold episode. Oh, the Booster Gold episode.
That was great. Yeah, Booster Gold.
Yeah, there's a part in that where we see him change in a phone booth, and he does it all the way up, and then the next scene you see him, it's, like, halfway down, and the S isn't together or anything. I guess maybe that was some, like, writers symbolizing or something that the S isn't there, and it's kind of broken apart or something.
I just think it was difficult to run when it was zipped up. I think it was just too restricted. He was running weird or something. I mean, especially in slow motion, it would have been strange if he was sort of running like a chicken. Just no arms. No, I don't know. I just didn't like that. Before that, he kind of had a proto costume, which I actually preferred, which was just the suit he'd been wearing all through the show, the red coat and the blue shirt and the blue jeans, which left the red blue blur. I thought the red leather jacket would have worked better if he was wearing blue pants with it, so he was the red blue blur again.
Yeah, he just wore like dark jeans.
He just became the red blur, basically. It was just black. Like, he just wore black jeans.
Yeah, and I guess like one of the other things I didn't really like was that they were kind of against him wearing glasses as well. Like he did it for like here and there. Yeah, and like when the show first aired, there was that episode where I think it was when he got his super hearing, where he had to wear the glasses, and
because he went blind for the first half, and then the second half he got some of his vision back, so he had to wear glasses.
Yeah, I didn't like those glasses because they looked really weird.
Yeah, I'm glad that didn't stick with those. But the first time, I was like, awesome, he's going to wear glasses from now on. I was like, great.
And then the next time after that he did that was in like one of those weird alternate reality dream episodes where Lex is president.
Never come to Earth, and Brainiac was talking to Lex as president, and Kara was there. And, he had to pretend to be CIA or Secret Service or something.
Yeah, and he wore the proper horned rim glasses there, and then Lois tried to make him wear him all through like season 10, and he didn't wear him until like the last 3 episodes.
That was ridiculous. He should have worn them for like the last 2 seasons.
But I guess they kind of got away with it because at the end of the finale they do a time jump, so you could say like in that time jump he has been wearing them but that time jump like right at the end of the episode where they've got the John Williams music and you got like the clumsy Clark and everything. Perfect.
That was so good, so good.
I do hate that he didn't wear the costume. I do hate that he didn't actually wear the costume.
That pisses me off more than anything. But it also, with that time jump, technically when he lifted the planet out of the air, like that was when he was going to show his face to the world. So the fact that 3 episodes earlier he hadn't been wearing glasses, there would have been a shit ton of people who were just like, holy shit, that's Clark.
Yeah, and they were trying to do that with
He hasn't changed his face in 10 seasons. Like, he hasn't put on glasses. Everybody that knows Clark Kent is going to know Clark Kent is Superman. Immediately.
There was that episode as well before that where I think Lois was like telling him to like do the dual personality, and he does that thing where he goes. I think it was the Booster Gold episode.
It was because it was the kid playing Blue Beetle was basically he was acting like Clark. He was very nervous, very bumbling.
Yeah, and there's that part where Clark is like investigating the breakout from Cord Industries. And the cop was going on about how he's talking about it like an actual copper, and how he catches the guy who's going to fall down the hole and everything.
Yeah,
like that's kind of fun.
It did really bring forth at that moment. Yeah, Clark kind of is. He's not really hiding that he's special anymore. Like he thinks he is by just not doing super things. But the way he carries himself, everybody can tell there's something different about him. Yeah,
he doesn't slump the shoulders, or he's not constantly pushing the glasses up on his forehead and everything. And
he had all the nervousness in high school. He just needs to it's part of that message. He needs to hold on to Smallville, like how he was in high school. He needs to keep that as Clark Kent a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
It was great that the ongoing themes and everything in season 10 all came around so well in that Polani. It is just a shame he never really wore the suit. I know he wore the top because you can see the 3D symbol poking through his white shirt before he goes to rip it. So.
Yeah. The way they did it though was it kind of just looked like he was just wearing like the blue T-shirts he wore, and they just like stuck a symbol on there.
But they couldn't have stuffed a bit of red fabric like over his shoulders so it looked like the cape was tucked into the collar or something like that. That would have completed the look for me. Just a little bit of red fabric around his shoulders. Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah. And I always like the Superman uses the cape to he like wraps the cape around him to sort of appear like he's like a little bit fatter than he usually is. Yeah, I always like that idea.
But I think that's pretty much it.
I always thought he did that. Like Clark looks overweight.
Yeah.
As he staggers down, he could like just be pushing his chin out a little bit, making it look a little bit chubby. I don't know. There's so many ways that Clark can work. Still, at least they try to make Clark work instead of the movie where they just ignore his presence entirely, cut him out of the theatrical cut,
and then kill him.
Pretty much. Yeah, and then kill him.
Because they couldn't be bothered to write the Clark Kent part.
Yeah. Jimmy Olsen in this show. I love Jimmy in it.
Which one?
I hate how
Which one?
I hate how they killed Jimmy and then find out, no, the Jimmy you actually know is his little brother. And it's like, clearly that ending was tacked on because they didn't know what else to do.
Well, didn't they like kind of work around it as well by the Jimmy that was killed was actually named James and they just called him Jimmy?
Yeah. And his little brother actually was Jimmy.
Yeah.
Well,
it's weird.
I don't know, because he was exactly the character that you wanted Jimmy to be.
Yeah, he was that photographer.
And the reason he died was bullshit. They established that Davis Bloom is a good man and Doomsday is the only reason he's got some badness in him. And then they split him from Doomsday and he's supposedly, it should just be the human Davis Bloom. He's a good guy again. He's not being held over by his evil Doomsday, like, I don't know, kill frenzy or whatever. And then the first thing he does is kill Jimmy. And it's like, so I guess you weren't really a good guy. You're just an arsehole. We just spent 4 episodes debating whether or not to kill you, and we're gonna kill you now anyway, but now Jimmy's dead. So it was just kind of a fuck you ending.
Yeah, but it really was. It really was.
Did we even see how Clark defeated Doomsday? I remember when I was watching it, I was just like, wait, when did that? I had to skip back. Like, technically, he just like, it's about to begin, and then it kind of cuts away, and he comes back at the end, and like, I thought you died.
He it's never really explained, but like, the thing, I think he like throws him into a mine that's like a thermal exhaust to the core of the earth or something. I know, like, they have that like street fight where Doomsday like throws him around a bunch, and he like runs towards him and like picks him up and like jumps and like falls into like a thing. Yeah, I don't know.
I just remember thinking the fight wasn't over and it was going to continue, but then Clark comes in later on. He's like, "Yeah, I've disposed of Doomsday," and it's like, "Oh, I guess we just don't see the end of the fight." Like, I maybe we did see the end of the fight, but it didn't feel like the end. If that makes sense.
It was like a non-ending, really.
Yeah.
I know Doomsday comes back in like season 11 comic.
Oh, does he? I haven't got that far yet.
Oh, I think he's in like a Legion episode.
Yeah,
I think that was what originally they were going to do, because I remember the Legion turn up and and Clark says like use the ring and send the Legion.
Oh, the Legion
send him
to the future because they can deal with him.
Yeah, but he couldn't, because then Lois used the ring and went to the future.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just. I don't think the Legion could have taken Doomsday. I think they're a bit overconfident anyway. I think if they had sent Doomsday to the future, a later episode would have been Doomsday coming back from the future having killed every member of the Legion.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the Legion are powerful, but I don't think they could take on Doomsday. Like, it was always a big thing, like every now and then they'd have to bring Superman back from the past because they couldn't defeat something and he would take it out pretty easily. Like, what the fuck did they think they were going to do against Doomsday?
Yeah,
that would have been fun.
But yeah,
they did bring Superboy back in season 11 comics as well. One of the side ones, I think.
Yeah, he's part of the Titans.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, Smallville. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, last thing we should end on. I loved the theme tune when the show first started. I even bought the CD, and I listened to it on my MP3 player a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That fucking song gets so annoying the more episodes you watch. If you watch 10 seasons in a row, if you don't skip that theme song, you are going to lose your mind.
The opening by that mid 2000s band that was popular. Yeah. It was that kind of cliched, like, we're a teen show, so we need the hip new rock band of the time.
I don't know, like, people. I also found this with the Friends theme tune. That song annoys me as well. But there's people that still say it doesn't matter how many episodes you watch, you never get sick of that theme tune. You get sick of the Smallville theme tune around season 4.
You do. I when I was watching, I ended up just skipping. 2 minutes in.
Time. The moment the theme song started, I would just skip, and I would just skip the next minute because typically that would be just enough to continue watching the episode without missing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that theme tune. I loved it at first, and it's one of those things that just grated on me over time.
But the actual score to the show,
most of the music was great.
It's great. It was really great score.
It is a shame towards the end you can see that the budget was cut a bit in the music department, because early on it sounds like a real orchestra, but by the end you can kind of tell it's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like made on a computer.
Yeah, it's almost like it's not quite a MIDI file. But it's like they take it's all computer generated music, and it sounds good. Don't get me wrong, but the earlier seasons the music sounded more authentic, if that makes sense.
I'm just glad they did the John Williams stuff at the end. For people who haven't seen the show, just go to like YouTube and search like Smallville finale ending and just like watch it, and that'll tell you everything about what the show is. It's absolutely fantastic and like the most Superman thing ever on film at the moment.
Yeah, pretty much. It's especially. I don't know if the Supergirl Superman reveal had the John Williams music, maybe that would have been the most Superman thing, because he did the sheriff and actually wore the suit and flew away.
Yeah, well, I guess they didn't want to do it in that because that was technically not like Donna related, whereas like Smallville was kind of
Donna either though.
Well, it kind of was. It had that aspect like the Phantom Zone. You know, they're in that mirror portal thing, flinging through space and stuff like that.
Like it was definitely not connected to the Donnerverse.
Oh no.
This is the imagery there.
Yeah.
No, I'm just worried we're going to get people in the comments saying, so how do they explain how Lex forgets who Superman is when he meets him in Superman 1? And why does he get the rock from Addis Ababa and not Smallville? You know there will be questions like that.
Nah, I think most of the people who watch this are smart.
I haven't seen much hate on your channel as much lately. Like, I don't know if you're just deleting the most shitty comments now, or if people just don't bother trolling you as much. But
just go look at my Zack Snyder videos. You'll see him.
Oh no, I looked on a few. Maybe I've blocked a few people, and I'm seeing. I don't know. I tend to block people who are just really, really belligerent.
Yeah.
The moment they start calling me a faggot or something, right, then I'm just like, yeah, you just lost all credibility in your argument the moment you use that word.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, I'm not sorry. That's a fucking stupid thing to say on a YouTube comment.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to end it there.
This was a long discussion.
It was. It's a long show, so we had a lot to talk about.
Hopefully people enjoyed it.
Yeah, I hope people did enjoy this. I hope they found like the first part of the video, if you saw that, insightful and informative. Definitely go check Tom out on his channel. What's your channel, Tom?
YouTube.com/SnoochieBoochies. Hopefully there'll be a comment in the description box so you can click it, because the spelling of Snoochie Boochies changes from film to film in the Kevin Smith universe, and also changes in comics and posters and So
I'll put it in the description. I'll put it in the description, and probably a link in there at the end of the video. Thank you for joining me, and keep an eye out for the next part of Superman in Media. Thanks for watching. Remember to leave a comment in the comment section below, or follow the links on screen now to other reviews or topic videos. If you haven't already, remember to subscribe for more weekly reviews and videos.